The dollar deed. The courthouse smelled like old paper and hot dust. Ethan Cole stood at the counter with a single crisp dollar in his hand, feeling ridiculous and hopeful. The clerk, an older woman with sharp glasses, didn't smile. "You sure you want this?" she asked, sliding the folder toward him like it was cursed. Cedar Hollow Ranch. $1. Ethan looked down at the deed. The land was real. Hundreds of acres on the edge of a dying town. A place nobody wanted because the old owner's name still echoed like a warning. Harlan Voss. Ethan swallowed. "I'm sure." She leaned closer. People don't give away land unless there's something wrong with it. Ethan's jaw tightened. "I've had plenty wrong with my life. I'm still standing." A shadow crossed her face, like she recognized that kind of stubbornness. She stamped the document with a loud thud. "Then sign. And don't say nobody warned you." Outside, the winter wind cut through Ethan's jacket. His truck coughed to life like it didn't believe in fresh starts either. He drove for nearly an hour until the paved road turned to gravel and the gravel turned to dirt. Cedar Hollow appeared at the crest of a hill. Fences half collapsed, barn leaning like an exhausted giant. The ranch house dark and silent. Ethan parked and stepped out. The air tasted like pine and rust. "This is mine," he murmured, like saying out loud would make it true. He walked up the porch steps. The wood creaked under his boots. The lock was old, but it wasn't broken. He turned the key the courthouse had given him. The door opened. Cold air spilled out like a hell breath. Ethan pushed inside. Dust swirled in the gray light coming through the windows. The living room still had furniture, an armchair, a table, and a framed photo turned face down on the mantel. He didn't touch it. He moved through the house slowly, listening to his own footsteps, letting himself imagine what it could be. Repaired walls, warm lights, laughter. Then he heard it, a sound that did not belong to an empty house. A soft scrape. Ethan froze. It came again, faint, from deeper inside, like someone shifting their weight on old floorboards. His hand found the flashlight on his belt. He clicked it on and aimed toward the hallway. "Hello?" he called, voice steady even though his heart wasn't. "This property is owned. I'm not looking for trouble." Silence. Then, from the back of the house, a woman's voice, low, raw, and unmistakably real. "Don't come closer." Ethan's throat went dry. "Who are you?" The flashlight beam caught the edge of a doorway, then a glimpse of movement. Someone stepping back, staying hidden. "I said don't come closer," the voice repeated, sharper now. "Or I swear I'll." Ethan raised his free hand. "Hey, I'm not here to hurt you. My name's Ethan." A pause. The kind where you can feel someone deciding whether you're lying. Then she spoke again, quieter. "This ranch isn't yours." Ethan blinked. "I just bought it. Legally. $1. A short laugh. Bitter, almost painful. "That's what they do. They sell the problem and call it bargain." Ethan's chest tightened. "What problem?" The girl stepped into the light. She was young, maybe early 20s. Her hair was dark and tangled. Her cheeks hollow like she'd been living on little more than survival. But her eyes were fierce. The kind that had seen too much and decided to burn instead of break. In her hands was a rusted revolver, shaking, not from fear, but from exhaustion. Ethan didn't move. She stared at him like he was the last person in the world she could trust. "My name is Lila," she said, "and I've been living here because I don't have anywhere else." Ethan's voice softened. "Okay, Lila, we can figure this out. Put the gun down." Lila's lips trembled, just for a second, then her expression hardened again. "You don't understand," she whispered. "If I leave, they'll find me." Ethan's stomach dropped. "Who will?" Before Lila could answer, something heavy banged from underneath the house, like a door slammed in the basement. Both of them jerked their heads toward the floor. Lila's face went pale. Ethan's heartbeat thundered, and Lila whispered the words that made the air feel colder than winter. "He's not supposed to be down there anymore." The basement that remembered. Ethan stood between Lila and the basement door, even though he barely knew her. His instincts didn't ask permission. They just moved. The scratching came again, slow, deliberate, like fingernails on wood. Lila's voice shook. Don't open it. Ethan didn't take his eyes off the door. You said he's not supposed to be down there. Who is he? Lila swallowed. Harlan Voss. Ethan's skin prickled. The old owner? The old monster, she snapped, then flinched as if she'd said too much. The scratching stopped. Silence pressed against the walls. Ethan forced himself to breathe. Lila, Harlan Voss is dead. That's what the town tells itself, she whispered. So they can sleep? Ethan turned his head slowly. Why were you living here? Lila's gaze flicked to the windows like she expected headlights to appear at any second. Because this ranch is the only place they don't search. Ethan's mind raced. The courthouse warning. The $1 price. The furniture still inside like someone left in a hurry. Who are they? He asked again, calmer now. Lila's fingers tightened around the revolver. Men who wear smiles in public and cruelty in private. Men who think poor people are disposable. Ethan felt anger rise in his chest, hot and sharp. Did they hurt you? Lila didn't answer. Her silence was the answer. A distant thump came from beneath the floorboards. Not scratching this time, more like something shifting. The sound traveled under the house, like someone walking in the dark. Ethan stepped closer to the basement door, careful. Is there another way out down there? Lila's voice came out strained. There's a storm cellar tunnel. It leads to the old cattle chute behind the barn. Ethan's eyes narrowed. So you've been going down there. I had to, she snapped. Food's not free. Ethan looked around the dusty kitchen. No stock cabinets. No fresh water. He imagined her sneaking into town at night, hiding from cars, living like a ghost inside a ranch everyone avoided. His throat tightened. You're starving. I'm alive, she said, but her voice cracked on the last word. Ethan reached into his coat slowly and pulled out a protein bar from his pocket, the kind he kept for long drives. He held it out carefully, like offering peace to a wild animal. Lila stared at it. Her pride fought her hunger. Finally, she snatched it and tore it open, chewing like she was angry at her own need. Ethan nodded once. Listen, I'm not sending you away. Not tonight. Lila's eyes flashed. You don't get to decide that. It's my ranch, Ethan said, then softened. But more than that, you're a human being. I'm not leaving you to whatever's chasing you. For the first time, something in Lila's expression shifted. Not trust. Not yet. But surprise. Like she forgot men could say things like that. A car engine hummed outside. Both of them froze. The sound wasn't on the main road. It was close, too close, gravel crunching under tires. Lila's face turned to pure panic. She yanked Ethan's sleeve and pulled him toward the window. Ethan peered through a crack in the dusty curtain. 2 headlights swept across the yard. A black SUV rolled in slow, confident, like it owned the place. Then another vehicle behind it. Ethan's pulse spiked. Do you recognize them? Lila's whisper was barely audible. Yes. Ethan felt his blood go cold. They found you. Lila grabbed a revolver again, hands trembling now for real. They're not here for me, she said, voice shaking. Not only for me. Ethan frowned. What do you mean? Lila's eyes locked on his. They're here because you bought the ranch, she said, and they can't let you see what's buried under it. A hard knock thundered at the front door. A man's voice called out, friendly like a salesman. Evening. We heard someone moved in. Thought we'd come welcome you. Ethan didn't move. His mind flashed through options. Run, hide, fight, negotiate. Lila whispered, if you answer, they'll smile, and then they'll take you apart piece by piece. The knock came again, heavier, impatient. Ethan leaned close to Lila. Go to the barn. Take the tunnel, if you have to. I'll distract them. Lila grabbed his arm with surprising strength. No, if you stay alone, you're dead. The voice outside changed, still polite, but now colder. Mr. Cole. The man called like he already knew Ethan's name. We can do this the easy way or the hard way. Ethan stared at the door. Lila stared at Ethan, and the basement beneath them let out a slow, unmistakable groan, like something waking up. The price of truth. The door didn't open. Not fully. It only moved, just enough to tell Ethan one terrifying fact. Someone had a key. Ethan's voice came out low. Back room. Now! Lila didn't argue. She darted down the hallway with silent, practiced steps. Ethan killed a flashlight and stood in the dim living room as the door creaked wider. A man stepped inside like he was walking into his own house. Tall, well-dressed, a smile sharp enough to cut glass. Behind him came two others, bigger, quieter, eyes scanning like predators. Ethan Cole. The first man said, spreading his hands, "I'm Mason Rourke. I run a few businesses around here." Ethan forced a calm face. "You break into homes as a welcome gift?" Mason chuckled. "No need for drama. We just keep the town safe." Ethan's jaw tightened. "From what?" Mason's eyes flicked around the room, landing briefly on the hallway. "From outsiders who buy cursed land for $1 and start asking questions." Ethan held his ground. "I'm not asking questions. I'm fixing my life." Mason stepped closer. The air changed. The smile stayed, but warmth vanished. "This ranch," Mason said softly, "was never meant to be sold to someone like you." Ethan stared back. "Someone like me?" Mason tilted his head. "A man with nothing left to lose is dangerous." Ethan felt the truth of that in his bones. His past. Factory job gone. Betrayal that burned through his family. A life where every door seemed to slam had led him here. And now 3 men stood in his home like judges. Mason's gaze hardened. "Sign the deed back. We'll reimburse you $1." Ethan almost laughed. "That's not happening." One of the big men stepped forward. "You're making a mistake." Ethan didn't flinch. "Then make me." Mason sighed like Ethan disappointed him. "You don't understand what's under this land." Ethan's stomach tightened. "Tell me?" Mason's smile returned, slower. "No." He nodded toward the hallway. "Where is she?" Ethan's blood turned to ice. "Who?" Mason's eyes sharpened. "Don't insult me." "The girl. Lila." Ethan didn't answer. Mason stepped closer until they were almost nose to nose. "She belongs to someone," Mason whispered. "And that someone doesn't like losing property." Ethan's fist clenched. "She's not property." Mason's eyes flickered. Annoyed now. Idealism is cute, but it gets men buried. A sudden sound came from behind Ethan, floorboards shifting. Ethan turned his head slightly. The basement door was cracked open, just a sliver. Cold air crawled out like a living thing. Mason noticed too, and his expression tightened for the first time. "Close that." He snapped to one of his men. The big man moved toward it, and from the darkness below, a voice rose. Not loud, not human. A whisper that sounded like wind squeezing through bones. "Leave her alone." The big man froze. His face drained. Mason's mouth went tight. "Shut it," he hissed. Ethan's heart pounded. He didn't believe in ghosts. He believed in sweat, work, and pain. But something in that voice didn't feel like imagination. Then the whisper came again, clearer now. "She's not yours." Lila appeared into the hallway, eyes wide with terror, revolver raised. "Ethan," she breathed, "don't let them take me." Mason's head turned slowly toward her. The smile returned like a mask snapping back into place. "Lila," he said gently, like he was talking to a child. "Come here. You're safe with us." Lila shook her head violently. "Liar." Mason's eyes flashed. "You're making this harder than it needs to be." One of his men lunged. Lila fired. The gunshot cracked through the house like lightning. The man stumbled back, clutching his shoulder, screaming. Mason's calm snapped into rage. "You stupid." Ethan grabbed a chair and swung it hard into the second man, sending him crashing into the table. Chaos exploded. Mason backed toward the door, pulling out a phone. "Call it in," he barked. "Get the sheriff." Ethan froze. "The sheriff's with you." Mason smiled. "Now you're learning." Lila's breath came fast. "They own everything. The town, the courts, even the church." Ethan's eyes locked with Mason's. "Why her?" Mason's smile thinned. "Because she saw something she wasn't supposed to, and because her father tried to report it." Ethan's pulse spiked. Her father? Lila's face crumpled for half a second, pain flashing through the toughness. They killed him, she whispered. Then they told everyone he ran away. Mason's eyes went cold. Watch your mouth, girl. Ethan stepped between them, voice shaking with fury. You did this. You hunted her. Mason's gaze slid to the basement door again. The crack had widened. The cold was stronger now. Mason backed out slowly. You both just signed your death warrants. He pointed at Ethan. You should have taken the deal. He pointed at Lila. You should have stayed hidden. Then he turned and walked out like he already won. The SUV engines roared outside. Ethan rushed to the window. More lights appeared at the edge of the property. Coming fast. Lila grabbed his arm. We have to run. Right now. Ethan looked down at the basement door. It was opening by itself. The girl who wouldn't break. Ethan grabbed Lila's hand and pulled her toward the back of the house. What's in the basement? He demanded as they ran. Lila's voice broke. Truth. They burst through the kitchen door into the freezing night. The yard was wide open, no cover, only the barn looming like a silhouette against the moon. Headlights cut through the trees behind them. Ethan yanked Lila toward the barn, boots sliding on frost. Inside, the barn smelled of hay and oil. Old tools hung on hooks. A trapdoor in the floor sat half hidden under a tarp. Lila ripped it back with desperate strength. Down! They dropped into darkness, landing hard on packed earth. A narrow tunnel stretched forward, damp and tight. Ethan's chest burned. How long? 2 minutes. Lila gasped. If we're fast. Behind them, above, the barn door slammed open. Men shouted. Flashlights stabbed through gaps in the boards. Search the barn. They're here. Ethan's mind flashed with anger, pure and unstoppable. These weren't just criminals. They were a machine, and machines crushed anyone smaller. Lila crawled forward, fast despite her thin frame. Ethan followed, scraping elbows and knees. You said Harlan Voss. Ethan whispered. Who was he to you? Lila's voice was a broken whisper. He kept me here. Ethan's stomach twisted. As a secret, she cut in, tears slipping into her voice. Because secrets are safer than witnesses. Ethan felt rage so hot it scared him. How did you survive? Lila swallowed hard. I learned not to cry where they could hear it. They reached a fork in the tunnel. Lila stopped, trembling. Left leads to the cattle chute. A loud crack echoed behind them, with splitting. They found the trapdoor, a man shouted. Ethan grabbed Lila's shoulders. Look at me. Lila's eyes met his, wild with fear. You're not alone anymore, Ethan said, voice steady like steel. Not ever again. Lila's lips shook. You don't know what they do. I know what it feels like to be crushed, Ethan said. And I know what it feels like to stand back up. They turned left and rushed forward. The tunnel ended at a wooden hatch. Lila shoved it up, and they climbed out behind the barn, near an old cattle chute surrounded by brush. But the moment they surfaced, a flashlight beam snapped onto them. There! A man yelled. Ethan pushed Lila behind him. A figure stepped forward, broad shoulders, sheriff's badge shining under the beam like a cruel joke. Sheriff Dalton. He smiled. Evening, Ethan. Welcome to Cedar Hollow. Ethan's voice went cold. You're in on it. Dalton shrugged. This town survives because men like Mason keep money flowing. Lila shook with fury. You let them kill my father. Dalton's eyes narrowed. Your father should have kept his mouth shut. Ethan's fist clenched. Let her go. Dalton laughed. You don't get a bargain. Mason Rourke stepped out from behind Dalton, coat collar up, eyes bright with satisfaction. See, Mason said to Ethan, the hard way. Lila raised a revolver. Dalton immediately pulled his gun. Drop it. Ethan moved without thinking. He kicked a rock toward Dalton's feet. Just enough distraction. Lila fired, aimed not to kill. The bullet hit Dalton's hand. His gun flew into the snow. Dalton screamed, clutching his wrist. Mason's face twisted with rage. You little... He reached for his own weapon. Ethan lunged, tackling Mason into the brush. They rolled hard, fists flying. Mason was stronger than he looked. His knuckles slammed into Ethan's cheek, tasting blood. "You're nothing," Mason hissed. "A broke man with a dollar dream." Ethan spat blood and grabbed Mason's collar. "And you're a coward hiding behind money." Ethan slammed Mason into the cattle chute, which splintered. Mason's phone fell from his pocket, skidding into the snow. Lila's voice screamed, "Ethan, behind you!" Dalton, trembling with pain, had picked up his fallen gun with his other hand. He aimed at Ethan. Ethan froze. Then Lila stepped forward, between Ethan and the barrel. Her arms shook, but she stood. Dalton's eyes narrowed. "Move, girl." Lila's voice was thin but clear. "No." Mason snarled, "Shoot her." Dalton's finger tightened on the trigger. Ethan's heart stopped. And then, from the ranch house in the distance, a scream tore through the night. Deep, unnatural. Everyone froze. Mason's face drained. "What is that?" The ranch house lights flickered on, one by one. Like the building was waking up, a shadow moved in an upstairs window. Something large. Something watching. Lila whispered, voice trembling, "He's awake." Ethan stared at the ranch. The air turned colder. And in the wind, a voice whispered again, clearer than ever, "Bring them back." The dollar that bought freedom. Mason stumbled backward like the night itself had betrayed him. Sheriff Dalton's gun wavered in his injured hand. Ethan didn't understand what the scream was, but he understood fear. And for the first time, Mason was afraid. Ethan grabbed Lila's hand. "Run. To the truck." Lila hesitated, staring at the ranch house. "If we leave, he'll come after us." Ethan met her eyes. "Then we end it. Tonight." They moved fast, using the brush as cover, circling toward the driveway. Dalton tried to follow, but collapsed to one knee, cursing through his teeth. Mason shouted orders, but his men were looking over their shoulders now, shaken. They reached Ethan's truck. Ethan yanked the door open, but Lila grabbed his sleeve. "No, not yet." Ethan frowned. "What are you doing?" Lila's voice came steady, stronger than it had all night. "I'm done running." Ethan saw it then. The shift, the moment a victim becomes a fighter. Lila stepped into the open and raised her voice toward Mason and Dalton. "You told everyone my father disappeared," she shouted. "You told them I was a liar." Mason's face hardened. "Shut up." Lila's eyes burned. "You didn't count on Ethan showing up." Ethan understood. Not just survival, exposure. He pulled out his phone and hit record. Holding it up, Mason saw it and lunged forward. "Put that away." Lila didn't flinch. "Confess," she said. "Right now. Tell the truth." Dalton spat into the snow. "You think anyone will believe you?" Ethan's voice cut through. "They will when I upload this everywhere. When I send it to every journalist within 100 miles. When the state hears that the sheriff helped cover murder." Mason's smile returned, but it was trembling at the edges. "You think you're safe because you have a phone?" Ethan looked toward the ranch house, where the upstairs window's shadow shifted again. "No," Ethan said. "I think we're safe because you're not the biggest monster here anymore." The wind gusted hard. The barn doors slammed shut by themselves. Mason's eyes went wide. "Stop playing games." A sound came from the ranch house. Heavy footsteps, slow and deliberate, crossing the porch. The front door opened. A figure stepped out, tall and black against the house lights. Not fully human. Not fully anything Ethan could name. But the voice was unmistakable, like a man who once ruled with cruelty and now returned to collect debts. "Harlan Voss," Lila whispered, tears sliding down her cheeks. "You're real." Mason backed away, shaking. No, you're dead. We buried you." The figure tilted its head like it enjoyed the panic. Ethan's mind raced. This wasn't justice from a courtroom. This was something older, something that felt like the land itself refusing to forget. Lila stepped forward, voice trembling but firm. "You destroyed my life. You killed my father." The figure turned its gaze toward her, and for a moment, Lila looked like she might break. Then she lifted her chin. "But you don't get to owe me any more. she said. Not in life and not in death. Ethan felt pride hit him like a wave. She wasn't just surviving. She was reclaiming herself. Mason grabbed Dalton's gun with his good hand and aimed it wildly at the figure. "Stay back." Mason screamed. The figure didn't hurry. It simply walked. Mason fired. The bullets vanished into the dark like they were swallowed. Mason's face twisted into pure terror. "This isn't possible." The figure raised a hand. Mason dropped to his knees as if an invisible weight crushed him. Dalton tried to crawl away, sobbing, leaving a trail in the snow. Ethan pulled Lila back toward the truck. "Now!" Lila shook her head. "No, we finished the truth." Ethan realized what she meant. This wasn't about revenge. It was about ending control. Ethan turned his phone camera on Mason, whose voice cracked in panic. "Tell them," Ethan demanded. "Tell them what you did." Mason's eyes were wide, tears freezing on his cheeks. He looked at the figure and broke. "We killed her father." Mason choked. He had records, proof, about the land deals, the money, the bodies. Ethan's grip tightened on the phone. Mason sobbed. "We used the ranch to hide everything. We paid Dalton. We paid the court. We paid." The figure's head tilted, as if satisfied. Then, slowly, the pressure lifted. Mason collapsed, shaking, broken by his own confession. Ethan grabbed Lila. "Let's go." They jumped into the truck. Ethan started the engine and floored it down the dirt road as the ranch disappeared behind them. Lila stared out the back window, breathing hard. Ethan glanced at her. "You did it." Lila swallowed. "No," she whispered. "We did." They drove until the first signs of town lights appeared. Ethan pulled over, hand shaking. He stopped the recording. Lila looked at him, eyes wet. "What now?" Ethan breathed out slowly, like he was releasing years of pain. "Now we take this truth to the world. Now we rebuild." Lila stared down at her hands that had held fear for too long. Then she looked up, and for the first time, she smiled. Small, real. "I never thought a dollar could buy freedom," she said. Ethan's voice softened. "It didn't." He reached for the deed on the dashboard. "It bought a chance," he said. "And you took it." Lila wiped her tears. "What if they come after us?" Ethan started the truck again, eyes forward. "Let them," he said, "because this time we're not hiding.